And we are now moving to roundtable for a panel discussion. And I would like to welcome between us Mrs. Zeynep Stefan, consultant at Asia Consulting, Mr. Libor Stodola, Chief Operations Officer at AXA, and Mr. Michal Blažej, Partner Lighting Beetle. So please come sit. Microphone is okay. Okay. So if you have some questions, you can use a Slido, and in the end of this roundtable, I choose some questions and we can you can answer them. So this roundtable is about people are tracking their behavior on smart apps. You know, all of you know smart watches, smart applications. And my first questions for you is how will these, including medical data in these smart things, affect the underwriter's art in the future?
Actually, this is the very soft point of insurance business right now, because there are two regulatory bodies here. First, the insurance regulatory body, and the second one is health ministry. So I'm working with startups that they create some solutions for health business, and the unique point that they should make clear is if this data is available, usable, and if they convert this data to products, and they can use this data for changing the prices, most probably the insurance policies prices, and it's applicable for other parts of insurance. Their first concern is about data usage, that we already discussed about GDPR and other things, and they are not so clear. They don't have a clear mind about it right now, and we are waiting for new regulations on it. If this data is available, they can use for insurance health products, and they can, if this data can affect to the prices, how can they manage it? So this is the questions that right now it's affect the underwriting process in health business. And from my point of view, we still have a gray area. We are still in a gray area, and they used to make a clear agreement with data owners like clients for understanding if they can use the data. If they can use data, this data effect on their premium prices, they should know it. The clients should know it, and then at the end of the day, they need new products, and these new products should offer solutions to clients. This is the general point.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can only speak for we work for Dôvera, which is a health insurance company, and from our perspective today already, Dôvera have been doing very interesting stuff in terms of couching, and that's how we want to use data in the future. It's the couching basically. So diabetes is one of the big topics for Dôvera. Basically, healthier people, more profit for the insurance company, of course. And Dôvera has been for a long time collecting data about people with diabetes and also couching them when they're visiting their doctor. So they even got their own couch. So not just the doctor, but a trainer who would tell them how to maybe behave better or how to have better behavior patterns. And also we provide like the digital interface on how to manage this data. So, and in the future, of course, I can imagine a lot of stuff we can do with the data of the insurees. But for now, for me, again, it's making that data that the doctors already collect accessible to our clients is the most important part of it, because then they can reflect on it, and then we can provide them with suggestions on how to maybe better monitor their health and how to be healthier in the future.
Dobré odpoledne, good afternoon. My answer will be a little bit different from that perspective that actually you address the applications, you address the underwriting and medical data. Let me start with the underwriting. For sure, for the underwriting, the data collected through the applications, definitely they are valid. They should be used and must be used for the future, really to improve the client's life, like was correctly presented. Here I see more the challenge, how to convince the customers to share the data, and how to, let's say, convince the customer to use exactly the application you need them to use, or make kind of synergies between the applications to make sure that you are able to generate some benefits out of it. If you touch the discipline of underwriting as such, I think that, at least from my perspective, there are 4 types of, let's say, key areas in the underwriting. Let's say medical underwriting is just one of them. You have also financial underwriting. You have also vocational or avocational sports or jobs. Here I see much more also future potential, because if we are talking about the medical applications, fine, I think that we have plenty of them. We don't have so much of applications for the other areas. And that's maybe also for kind of opportunity, not only for an insurance company, but also for the market as such. And last not least, it's about how or let's say the capability of the insurance house to actually put it into the legacy system which they have. And it's about just smart people, how to, let's say, wire everything together, start to use it.
You say very good. Some people, don't trust the insurance industries. Maybe I can say mainly in Slovakia or in Czech Republic, not all people are, are, how to say, they don't trust these smart applications and the connecting between insurance. And what do you think? What is the problem? Why the people, maybe in Slovakia and Czech, why don't trust? Why they don't trust these smart applications?
Let me start with the answer. I think that part of the answer could be with, let's say, the sensitivity of the data. Because of course what the applications collect, it's really sensitive and should be treated like that, and we know that the trend on the market is actually kind of lowering the trust of the customers, so that's definitely one of the part. The second part of the answer, at least what I can see on the market, is that people have quite, and it connected to my previous answer, have a really huge choice which to select. And there are differences between the applications. And as far as, these applications are very much tailored for the customers, they switching from one to another from time to time, then forgot the data from the previous ones. And it's, there is no like flow of the applications. Usually they select what they really need at that moment. But in 1 month, they will use different one.
Just a quick contribution. Actually, they don't trust also in Germany and Austria, because we made a market research with a German insurance company in Germany, and we asked people why they would like, actually they would like to share the data, health data. It's important, and they said, I know if I share, that's affect my premium, and maybe next year the insurance company will not renew my policy. So I can also clearly say this is also valid for Italy and Turkey as an emerging market, and for these people also in Germany, Italy, and as an example, Turkey, they don't trust the insurance companies for using their data. And for this reason, they would like to see clear explanations about how data will be used, and how they affect at the end of the day the premium. So they need clear boundaries about this.
So for me, it's again a bit hard because as a health insurance companies in Slovakia are regulated, thus we have to provide the same service to every single customer, and we cannot give them any extra or less, right? But there might be a feeling or notion that the insurance companies are greedy, or they don't want to give everything to their clients. How we fight this is basically transparency. In the app, you can find how much a particular service cost, how much the company invested to the doctor, how much you're giving back, basically. So we're trying to be really transparent and also talk about the impact of how you behave in terms of relationship to your health. So for us, just being open, really open about what we do for you is a way to maybe build trust and loyalty with the customers in such a commodized market as the health companies would be.
Okay, and what is the difference between new and old data, currently used data maybe in the world of insurance?
What do you mean with new old data? The date of when it's generated, when it was generated?
Yes.
Okay. Actually, I don't see. Actually, according to the regulatory body perspective, they don't have any difference. New data and old data is same, but the difference is its structure of data. Because before these technologies, right now we are using very actively in insurance business, and also it was mentioned. It was not so, the data that generated before is not so usable, so somebody should convert it for a usable data. So it's a very operational and very open to operational risk as well. So it's not so applicable. We couldn't find somebody that convert data one by one, convert data for a usable data. So we can say for regulatory perspective, they don't have any differences. But for user perspective, for insurance and reinsurance companies, new data, like I say, newly generated data is very usable and very open to further reporting, and can be used more easily for customers' perspective. But the previous ones is not so easy.
I would say old data. Let me use the example from the insurance business. It's not the life business, it's a non-life, but to little bit demonstrate the evolution. If you look on a motor business, you started with what you drive. That was the first level, let's say, or let's say kind of premature kind of maturing. Then actually it moves towards where you drive, locations, etc. Now it is about how you drive, about the behavior of the customer who drives the car. Actually, the underwriting went through the whole process, and in life you can find the same similarities. You start with the age, and you slowly actually go through the behavior of that particular age segments, etc. So I think that's a little bit the different type of information that you currently need to improve your underwriting, because I believe that most of the companies quite efficiently use the old way. Now we're starting to, let's say, a little bit enhance the model with the new data. Among the new data, for example, which we in our company trying to use, and were not considered like 2-3 years ago, are, for example, the buying habits, because they show also what kind of risk appetite you have, which then it links towards the ability to buy or not to buy insurance policy. or you, for example, work with the data about the payment morale, which are publicly available, then you see based on the analytical scores that certain segments behave differently when you have, let's say, good credit or bad credit. Such a data which were not used definitely are used nowadays.
Thank you. One more point I would like to underline that data ownership, because the previous regulators were not so open and clear about data ownership. But the latest regulations has very clear explanation about what is data ownership. The key point is who owns the data. And so the insurance and reinsurance company should go to this person or company who is the owner, he has the ownership, and then take permission and then use the data. So this is very clear. And I would like to underline again that the data that post on social media is not free. Also, I'm working with startup companies right now. I'm mentoring them about their idea and insurance products. They have also this imagination that if somebody puts the data on Facebook, it's we can take data and we can use it. It's clearly prohibited. And we can say they need a clear permission about everything they use. So the data ownership is the more important difference between new and old data, I can say.
Well, I might try to show the difference between old and new on a novel product that we've just launched. We have this new service for young parents or first-time parents. So when a new baby is born, parents are usually very confused by what they should do and how they should behave. The thing is, the insurance company already has plenty of data about those parents. How was the preparation for the birth, going on, then if there was vaccination going on in the later stages. So we already have all this data, and we can count the risk of that particular baby maybe having an illness or something. What we do now is we actually ask the parents to give us the information if they did the vaccination. This has two benefits. The first one, we can cross-check if the doctor actually carried out the vaccination, so we can search for frauds. The second one, we are actually motivating the parents through the app that they should vaccinate their children. So, and this is the parents inputting the data into the app. So we have now two streams of the data covering the same situation, same event within the life of the young parent, and trying to pinpoint those important information that we can work with later on.
And I want to ask how people react on this your new product.
Well, we built the app based on experience with the parents' apps that are around, and you have all these diaries that exist on the market, and people just love them. So what we are providing, we are not trying to fight with those data or with those apps on the market. What we are trying to do basically is just to give them more enriched experience with more data. So we already tell them we know that you visited doctor there. What happened? Well, what was the process that maybe did you like the visit or not? So that's the information that we are kind of searching there. So we just launched the project. We already have some very active users and customers, and we hope they will use it for a longer period of time. But that's for us a way to build loyalty and trust between us and as an insurance company and the parent.
Okay, and can simplified language and conditions of insurance be supportive for further expansion of smart insurance products?
Let me start. For sure, any simplification, and now let's a little bit discover what simplification means, because it's maybe not only always about one-page document. It's more about the language which you use, that customer can understand what is behind. So you are not hiding behind certain formulas, patterns, etc. So that's for me a simplification. So yes, of course, but of course we are sitting, or I put myself in the chair, I'm sitting on the side of the insurance company. We also need to make sure that what is written is correct. So sometimes simplification has certain limits because you need to also protect the customer at the end to make sure that you do not simplify too much to, let's say, have a certain possibility of explanation that needs to be somehow kept in mind.
During my short speech, I already told this. I tried to tell this. I tried to explain this. I see that insurance products should have three main points. That they should be clear, easy to understand. They should be very reachable by customers. That's very easy and should be tailor-made. So it's very, also for us, it's very easy for saying that it should be short, very reachable and very clear, understandable. But it's a very difficult for insurance and reinsurance companies making a insurance policy with less matters, less restrictions. I assume that it brings these conditions brings more micro products. I mean that right now when you buy an insurance product, it covers many things. But in future, I see that insurance products will be very specific. Will cover not so many risks. And for example, I'm here right now. I'm speaking here, and I'm here until 4, 5. So I need a very coverage. I need a insurance coverage until 5. As a product like that, very short coverage, and we called it micro insurance product. So I see the future. If we would like to have more understandable and more clear insurance policies, it should be not so. It should not cover one whole year.
Well, I've been working in UX for 10 years now, so I'm a big fan of simplification, and I always try to simplify stuff. Even like with all the lawyer talk, I work on some projects with the government, and we are able to simplify the language. So it's always like the language can be simplified, and we try to do that. And of course, the future is about the personalization and personal experience of every single customer. That's great, but for us, the first step, even at Dôvera, is just to make everything as simple as possible, to really streamline the processes, to get the steps that shouldn't be there out, and make the communication as easy as possible. So yes, that is the first step, and the next step is for me the real personal experience, though that's very complex, complicated, and challenging. So I leave that for later.
And what is maybe mainly problems? What can to come with simplifying of language, and how to solve them?
I don't see many problems. I think like the problem is the attitude of the company, of the organization. Many times in the organization, you would already have people who would be raising their hands because they're worried that they would make a misstep. But it's not about. It is about making missteps, and it is about. Sometimes it's better if people complain if it's 5 people than making for everyone else more complicated process, right? So we are trying to change this mindset and this attitude of making sure that everything is 100% secure, to rather let's make maybe a small mistake, managed mistake, and make it more simple. So of course I don't want to generalize, it's just a principle, right? Because in some cases you cannot do this.
Let me comment that when you look on the Czech market, you see the situation with the financial arbitrators. where a lot of cases is discussed because of unclarity in the terms and conditions and everything. And it was discussed not because some elements were missing, but they were not clear. When you turn it in opposite way, of course, simplification can lead towards different kind of disputes at the end. So that's why where I see the simplification definitely yes, but we need to be somehow ready for that. And ready for that means we need to play a much more ethical role, because then actually it's about the ethics. You are the insurance house, you have a certain mission, philosophy. That should be the one which you should follow, even though it's not written in terms and conditions. And that's a huge difference in terms of how the insurance business should look like in the future.
And maybe you can say how you said that you are working on changing the mindset of people. How you do that?
Well, I don't know yet because I don't have results across the entire company. We've been so what we basically do is we have one specific team, or we have now 3 teams. They're actually doing a different types of project within the insurance company, and we are trying to onboard new people to a new style of working, and also thinking about maybe changing the processes much more than we used to. But I mean, everybody wants to do it, of course, because it's customer centric and people are by default customer centric. But we are in very early stages of understanding how that would be best applicable for this particular client. But we are doing the same thing with other clients as well. We always build a new team that has just more power to change processes, and then if that turns out well, then we copy that format to other teams as well.
And I heard about some new products in insurance business. It has name Pay As You Live, or objects monitored insurance, and so on. And I'm interested in a Pay As You Live product. Could you please explain or give an example for better understanding? What I can mention, what is this product about?
I can ask you because one of my, I'm mentoring a company. They are trying to build a product portfolio about Pay As You Live, because they are they try to produce live products. The first thing is, as I said, they try to limit the coverage, the live product coverage, and the second one is they limited the money. Also, the premium is low according to the traditional life products, and the second one is they try to convert this life product as a micro insurance product. Not, for example, at the end of the term, you won't have $1,000 or $100,000, but you will have less money, but less premium you will pay. They try to frame the coverage and the premium as well. So it's a kind of for not wealthy people, but it's very key. They find it very key for having new customers and also reaching new people. So this is For example, we classified this product as a microinsurance product. But one more point I would like to say something about this simplification. The previous question, I find it very difficult because putting every exceptions on policy papers is very easy because you need to put your restrictions and you need to put your exceptions on policy paper unless you have to pay everything. So this simplification is a headache for two parts: insurance and reinsurance companies, also for clients, because they don't have enough knowledge for understanding every detail, and insurance and reinsurance companies don't have enough process for summarizing everything. So it's, I assume that I'm still touching the regulatory body because right now the last month I'm working a lot with them. They try to find a solution about which part should be more involved in the simplification, clients or business side, insurance and reinsurance companies. Or I assume that next month we will see more details from them about the simplification.
This is not my topic.
Okay, maybe I came back to underwriters. And will the underwriter of the future need new skills? If yes, what they will be?
Well, let me start. I think we are talking about the underwriters, but they are at the end of our underwriting process. For sure, underwriters, that's a hell difficult job. If you see how the medicine discipline as such is evolving over the time, the number of different kind of treatments, medical drugs and everything, they need to judge somehow between some boundaries. That's something which is extremely difficult, and I think that we all who actually is in this respected area knows that this is really difficult. So from that expert point of view, definitely, and we see new diseases, new drugs and everything, this is like a never-ending education program for them. There are new technical disciplines for the underwriters, for sure. We see and we discussed today a lot of technical skills, working with the data, etc. But maybe let me address one part in the process of underwriters where I see it will have also big impact, the future underwriting process changes, which is the front line, which I refer to the sales. Because at the end, they are the first underwriters. They are in the field. They see the client. They need to judge whether he fills the questionnaire correctly and everything. And that's actually something where the new ways of underwriting will impact much more because they need to change their habits, how they judge the situation. And this is something which I believe will have the impact, and especially on that side.
From my point of view, I find them underwriters and actuaries very key for insurance processes. And I try to answer your questions with, according to the insurance value chain, we have 5 main dimensions in insurance value chain, like policy administration, and then marketing and sales, and then selling this policy administrations, but about with selling. The end of that claims and benefit management, and last step is asset management for insurance companies. The underwriters are involved all these 4 steps. So they are very key, and they should be in communication with other steps, not like policy administration or product development, and also for claims, and also for maybe asset management, also for benefits management, claims, etc. And I see that they will be in more interaction with other processes, because at the end of the day, the company asks more interactions, more efficiency, and it couldn't be happened without knowing other sides of business, other sides of insurance.
So for us, it's 2 things basically. One is being really customer-centric and being really oriented towards customer needs, understanding what the user wants, what the client wants. The other thing is being really agile in terms of being fast and being able to adapt quickly. Those would be the 2 skills, and I'll be talking about them in my presentation later on. But those are the 2 skills that we really need to gain in terms of really being agile and change our strategy to get the value we are trying to get. So part of that is deploying multidisciplinary teams where you would have in one teams people from different departments cooperating together, being coordinating, being able to decide by themselves and making those decisions really quickly, so they can act on what's happening on the market, basically. And they can also work with more data because they have all the data from the company easily accessible. So the data needs to be integrated end-to-end throughout the entire customer journey. That means collecting the data from the call center, but also from the retail, but also from how the user uses their app or website in one centralized space, and only after that make a decision, basically.
And I want to ask you, what is maybe the hardest thing on the profession underwriter? What is the maybe hardest thing of their job?
Now I will quote the underwriters because, of course, I am not the underwriter. I think when I talk to them, most of their, let's say, headache comes from the decision they need to do at the end because they need to decide. And there are very often not black and white situations. That would be easy, but unfortunately this is not the life of underwriter. He needs to somehow, or she needs to somehow write the line. And that's something where, of course, the underwriter needs to have enough courage, be sufficiently experienced to make the correct decision, and, of course, be able to take some risk. And this is something which underwriters do not like. Nevertheless, I think these three things are the most difficult for the underwriters. So that's my answer.
I'm not an underwriter, but I'm working with them since 2006. The last 3 years, I see the big problem as reporting and having the correct inputs for an underwriter. If you don't have enough input, so at the end of the day you cannot have a clear mind about the risks, the real risk. So they need to be supported by new reporting tools, because they have many contributions, many new data about their risk. So they need more sophisticated reporting tools, more sophisticated pricing tools, maybe, and they need to differentiate between a clear differentiate between risk, because a risk is same but not same for me or for you. Because of this, they need more sophisticated and more holistic tools. They need to have a clear holistic view from my point of view.
Well, I think a lot has been said. Maybe just equipping the people who are working on such projects with the risk management practices and tools, which for me, from my profession, would be definitely quick prototyping, putting the stuff on the market, understanding if that brings any value or not, and iterating on that. So I'm not saying the fail approach or the fail culture is the most important. I'm saying the learn culture is the most important. So enabling people to learn from their mistakes and letting them do decisions on their own, actually provide new ideas and solutions and put them on the market. So that would be it.
And I want to ask you, how should Slovakia or maybe Czech market, how they should prepare for underwriters and the big changes in insurance business? What do you think?
I think I can speak on both because AXA covers both countries, both markets. I think part of the big changes, which are the regulatory ones, which is quite obvious. Of course, we need to follow certain rules which are given by European Union, by local legislation. This is no doubt. Where I see the insurance should prepare also to help the underwriters, and now I'm referring back to my previous response about the behavior, that we are more and more entering the market, looking on different kind of behaviors. And from that, working with the data, providing certain models which can help their decisions to make the right decisions. The more data you have, the more, let's say, risk you can take, the better decisions you can do at the end. So that's let's say one point, helping them, provide them with the, let's say, right set of data, which are already given certain, let's say, maybe not full, but at least some guidance. The second point, and I think it's also one of the questions here, if I may refer to, there are different new techniques how the underwriters can judge, let's say, the health status of the person. One of the questions here is about the genetics. We know that's a quite difficult discipline, could be extremely helpful, but could be extremely dangerous. We know that the legislation is moving not really in a fast speed here. Nevertheless, at least what I have the last reference, because AXA is also involved in the discussion on the European Union on that topic, we see light at the end of the tunnel in the sense that there should be some way how to use such a tools, and that would really enter another chapter of, let's say, assessment of the medical health. So that's, for example, another example how the insurance in the area of underwriters will evolve.
The second question is very key. I found it very key because the human-driven decisions is a headache of all insurance business. They try to decrease it for having more specific and well-ordinated processes. From my point of view, they try to make it, digitalization also serves for this, for decreasing these decisions and having more well-structured decisions without any operational risk, without any personal decisions. And from my point of view, it will be a point that we will discuss more in next months, next years, for having dealing with more machine decisions. And for the second point, that can you provide an example of insurance innovation idea? From the last month, we are right now we are discussing with a startup about this coverage, because they would like to create micro insurance products not for lower income countries or people, also for emerging countries. And I found it very bright idea for creating micro insurance products also for major markets. And from my point of view, it's very promising and has a future.
I'm a bit lost.
The question. Thank you for your questions on Slido. So, can you provide an example of insurance inspired you recently?
Yeah, for me, I'm really monitoring mostly health insurance, so it's really hard. What I like is this cross-referencing idea that I already mentioned. That's something that really inspired me and drives a lot of projects in the future for us. Is making sure that you cross-reference data which is inconsistent with the data input from the users. That's something that really inspired me for a lot of work to come. So that would be from my side.
If you don't mind, I will skip that question because I have a presentation where I will refer to some of the examples. So it will be in the following presentation.
Okay. The next question: do you see the trend in customer willingness and regulation idea, which to use a person's genetics in the UV process?
Actually, I touched a little bit about this question because when we are talking about genetic data, we have to deal with two bodies, like not just insurance, also for health. Of course, they need to. We said that the insurance products should be more tailor-made. Tailor-made means that just should be created for one person, not all of us. So this also brings using genetic data, but it's not right now. It's very gray. It's a very gray area because it's not clear also for regulatory body, also for nobody, how they can take this data and how can use and convert this data to a tailor-made product. So in the future, as we will see in science fiction films, we will have some robots in our body and inform us about our key indicators like blood pressure, like our health conditions, heart conditions, etc. So I found it very possible, but not for next 5 years because it still need to be. We need to be also the health business need to make a way about these wearable products.
I will comment the first point, customer willingness. That's a little bit tricky because ask customer who is not the expert on the discipline probably would have a little bit of tendency to make yes and no, not seeing full impact behind. That's why I feel still now the customers should be protected to use the data before it will be clear what is not allowed to do with the data, which refers to the regulation, and we are not there yet.
We can move on. Isn't conditionary simplification, lower risk coverage, and client expectation in terms of what is covered? The last, okay. What do you think?
That's probably towards you, I think.
I think that, of course, when you ask the client whether he was satisfied with the claim at the end, you might receive the answer no. So first, let's start at the beginning. The client needs to know what he gets at the end. And then, of course, the insurance house needs to keep the promise. That's the first, to avoid that. Lower risk coverage, I think it's about being able, based on the data, which we discussed today quite a lot, how we collect the data, what kind of data. Of course, if you have the right data, you might go for the lowering the coverage because you know what might happen, what will not happen with certain uncertainty. And that's something which I think can go hand by hand, but needs to be somehow supported by the data, by the analytics behind.
I think the question is very good. Well, unfortunately, I cannot see who asked. But yes, it is a clear contradiction because the simplification and lower coverage is something, but the customer expectation is another thing. But the point is that if you would like to have fast products, if you would like to if you want to go to agents or being in agents with our body, we need to simplify the products, and this brings also the lower expectation from the insurance products. So it's not contradiction. It's not a contradiction, but as a clients, customers, we need to understand that fast product brings lower coverage. So it should be like that.
Okay. And the last one, how can be short data in the app weren't modified to make as act a specific way search to an insurance or to support farm industry by buying?
Blockchain. Because right now we have intermediaries between data and clients, and this also open very operational risk. This is an operational risk that's specified here. If we remove these steps between data and product, so we will have a more secure and more secure process. It's blockchain is an answer for this question.
For me, there are like two answers, or let's say 2 points in the question. One, if the application can be misused for the marketing, of course, this is one of the reasons why people do not like actually to share the data, because they are afraid of that. So that's valid point, and it's more up to the company to secure that it will not happen. And the second point is whether you can cross-check the data. There are ways how to cross-check the data. There are engines which you can screen. If you got a message from the customer, he was never hiking, and then he's presenting on the social media like 7,000 trips, some 1,000 attitudes trips, then okay, probably something is wrong. So there are different kind of cross-checks you might do to validate the data.
Yeah, again, from my perspective, the thing is regulation that we should not be promoting an insurance or pharmacy industry and then cross-checking that. That's all we can. I mean, we are bounded by that, so people can point at us if doing wrong. So I don't know. Regulation would be for me. Okay,
so we answered all questions from Slido and all questions from me. So I want to thank you, my panelists, Mrs. Zeynep Stefan, Mr. Libor Stodola, and Mr. Michal Blažej. Thank you so much. And now it's coffee break for 20 minutes, and in 20 minutes we are going next to the next case study. So thank you so much for your attention.